entry 24.
Journal entry 24. Okay, from the pen of Sgt Drake Alexander. So, Jeremy, if you want to start, go ahead and do those two paragraphs. So, the total of journal entry 24. Read those two paragraphs, and we'll talk about it for a minute.
I gotcha. We are camped among the ruins of Stetchavon. Its stone pillars and fallen walls act as a window into the past of this strange world. The lifeless eyes of a weather-worn face stare out at me from amongst the ruins. Those eyes of stone, belonging to some abandoned and broken statue, are a haunting sight. This is my second war. Both wars fought for a righteous cause, both enemies ruthless and vile. Yet even now, as I fight against the most horrific of monsters and demons, one thing remains the same. The eyes. The look of overwhelming fear and desperation in every set of dying eyes. And yet, the gut-churning feeling I get when I look into those eyes is the very same feeling that keeps me here on the front line. Some other set of eyes is counting on me to keep the sparkle of life and freedom alive in them.
And see that. I think that's all journal entry 24, right? Yeah. No.
Oh, that's
no.
First two paragraphs.
Okay. Then Jason, if you want to read the next two paragraphs.
Give me a moment. Sorry, I was still playing around with AI and running into.
Oh, okay. Josiah. Josiah, go ahead.
Do I have to do the accent like in the ToV? Stetchavon is a tactical.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm sure my buddy Sean would be impressed, but no worries about that.
Stetchavon is a tactical bottleneck. Mountains ranges surrounded on both sides, forcing Uthgar to march his army right through here in order to flood Nostrland with his troops and take the grand city of Valgrind. I am told that if Valgrind falls, so does all of Valhalla. That city is the last great place of freedom on this war-torn planet. And if it breaks, so does any hope of winning this war. Now, for the first time since I was sent down here to lead the forces of Stetchavon, we have a chance to win this fight and scatter the encroaching army of Uthgar. Uthgar believes we are all tapped out. His forces have cut away at our numbers by engaging us in battle after battle over the last several weeks. But finally, the tides are changing. The Kyrie, Sayland, brings a large army of reinforcements from Jandar's newest ally. Not only that, but Jandar has also managed to summon reinforcements of his own.
Okay.
Earlier today, stop there.
Yeah. Second paragraph. Yeah, it's okay. You're on the roll. I get it. Okay, so we have So we got two more paragraphs left, and then a last line. Jason, do you think you got those last two paragraphs in line? Go ahead.
Sure. Earlier today, I was caught off guard by the thunder of hooves coming from an unexpected direction. I reached for my binoculars to take a closer look and discovered a sea of white and red. Mounted knights rode towards us, garbed in white tabards bearing red crosses. As they approached the camp, the man at their lead put a hand in the air. The many knights who followed him pulled back and let their reins, bringing their horses to an obedient halt. The Templar's leader stepped down from his proud steed and removed his helmet, holding it in the crook of his right arm as he walked towards me, his armor clanking with every step. He extended a gauntlet-encased hand, proclaiming, "Sir Dupius and the Templar Knights at your service. Tomorrow we go on the offensive. We strike at Uthgar while he least expects it."
All right, so this is journal entry 24, written from basically the hand of Sgt Drake Alexander himself. Quite a poetic guy here. Now, where on the course of these events, where are we at in the timeline, Jeremy, for this? Is this pre-Swarm of the Morrow? Is this post-Swarm of the Morrow?
This is pre-Swarm of the Morrow.
Okay.
Because the Swarm of the Morrow doesn't start until they send him. Like, this is before they do the whole, or complete their mission with the emissaries. Because, they had to send Thormun and his group to each of the Valkyrie first to establish contact, become friends, and that kind of stuff. While that's going on, this is going on, right? So if you remember watching those episodes back in the day, there's those shows where it's like they kind of like break screen and then they go off to show you what this other person is doing. This is basically what's going on here. Drake is doing this while Thormun is going to talk to the Valkyrie and establish those alliances that lead to everyone being able to send the group. And then when the alliance is formed, then they form the scouting party that is sent down south into the jungle to figure out what's going on. So all of it is pre-Swarm of the Morrow. But you can kind of see how the Morrow are getting more and more like you see why there was a problem. Like you start seeing the situation that caused them to have to go down south in the first place, because they're like, man, there's a lot of Morrow and they seem to keep coming out of nowhere and we don't know where they're coming from. So that's when they found out it was the jungle. So yeah, this is a really interesting piece, I think, for me, because you gotta think about it in the case of like the historical aspects of it, right? You have this World War II soldier who just met a member of the Knights Templar. I mean, there's two humans several hundred years apart just shook hands. I'm like, I would blow my mind. You're just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And for those that may not know, Sir Dupuis, the leader of the Knights Templar, is actually named after Chris Dupuis, who was one of the individuals that was working with Heroscape during that time frame. He was I think at the end of it, he was the liaison between Wizard of the Coast and the product between the teams. He was like working as that, and so he would give them information and like kind of help us out when we needed something. Like, hey, can you ask Wizards about this? And then he would ask Wizards, and then he would tell us what they said and things like that. So he's a pretty cool guy. I don't know what he's doing nowadays, but I hope he's doing well, because I think it'd be really cool to be like, hey, guess what? Heroscape's back.
Now, was this entry written before the Templar Knights came out? Like the miniatures, the squads? And
so that's one of those things I wish I had better track of keeping, because this is like in terms of like the archiving, right? You can't really date a lot of the older stuff. And this is the same way, like the bios. Like we have the bios, we have the record of these and the Thormun journal entries. But when they were launched on the website, I have no way of knowing. Okay. And I remember, because I remember not. So here's a confession. I'm about to put myself out on blast. I don't own the Knights Templar. It's one of the very few sets I remain not having in my collection. So I want to say it came out before them, because I remember those coming out and not being able to get them, but I do remember reading about them first. But that's what I'm saying. I'm just basing this off a complete, like, I mean, I'm trying to recall 10 years, so I'm like, oh gosh, I can't remember, but I do remember not being able to get the Knights Templar for a specific reason, which is hence why I still don't have them, unfortunately. And one day need to go get my hands on some Templars, because they're pretty cool looking, like they're pretty cool concept. So.
And what do we?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Finish your thought first.
Yeah, there's the last thing I wanted to mention. Really, really neat nod to actual Norse mythology that was made in this passage. Because if you know your deep lore, like your mythology, all the reading, Valgrind is the name of the gate to Valhalla, and there's this like extensive concept associated with Ragnarok. If Valgrind falls, that's when Ragnarok starts. And so the devs borrowed that concept and put it on this thing, but Valgrind is not a gate, it's a city in Valhalla. And if Valgrind falls in Valhalla, once again, Ragnarok starts. So I was like, that's a really cool, neat, like when I did the digging and I found what Valgrind meant and where it came from, I was like, that's cool. I see what you all are doing. You're using those references well. So
I wonder if we're gonna have an expansion sometime down the line to where instead of Age of Annihilation, it's Age of Ragnarok or something.
Right.
That would.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but
like what do you mean to say?
Oh, I've I've been doing a lot of research on this regard. So the Age of Annihilation isn't referring to necessarily, at least in my theorizing, is not referring to Ragnar itself, but the road to Ragnarok.
Right, the results of it, yeah.
The paving, because before Ragnarok, there's large periods of times of destruction and winter, and kind of just everything kind of stinks. So it's kind of cool seeing that they're definitely laying the groundwork for some kind of big stuff, especially in the beginning. They're kind of talking about these stone eyes of ancient destroyed civilizations and stuff like that. There's like so much hints of stuff beyond what we kind of even see in the official narrative.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what do we think about, like, Joe? Like, I like the personal like side of this type of writing when it comes to seeing like Drake Alexander's resolve, and you kind of see like kind of like a little bit of a story arc within this. You know, about, you know, looking at eyes of people and how that's strengthening his resolve. Do you think that like brings the character closer to like the player and people playing the game are invested in the story?
Of course. You know, I think that's exactly the point. I mean, we see Sgt Drake Alexander as one of the main characters of the Heroscape, you know, timeline, just because he's one on the box of a lot of these, you know, master sets and stuff. And also you see he's identified in the Thormun's journals. You know, Thormun thought he was very important to keep in the story. He's in the battle, so, you know, he's helping build this army to go up against Utgar. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. And then let's see here. And when it comes to the knights, I like the references of like having like two characters from different, you know, parts of human history combine, you know, and you see that throughout all of Heroscape, which is one of the reasons what makes Heroscape very unique is quote unquote historical units. What do you think about that, Jason, when it comes to like the reference for this, whether before or after the Templar Knights were put in the game? I think it does well, not only does it help, I mean, the deepen the lore, but I think it gives it a lot more fun to the game itself.
I mean, that's one of Heroscape's strengths, right? Is you can take all these different stories, in this case, different historical periods brain fail. Different historical periods from Earth's history, throw them all together, kind of create a rule set that works, and have fun, you know, mix them together and see how things play out.
Right. And let's see here, we got Justin saying Drake and Raylan are the two main characters. They were the only characters get updated stats. Looking forward to Drake's jetpack and Raylan's manticore. Yeah, if that's what we're getting, we'll see. But yeah, exactly. Anyway, okay.
I mean, so, those specs are on the model, right? So we never got the stats for those, but we know that's on the model. So they will have to include some version of a jetpack-esque aesthetic. Otherwise, it would just be funny to have Drake with a jetpack, but you can't use it. It's like, no. Oh, he doesn't have flying. It's like, but he's in the air. Like.
It'll be interesting to see where Renegade takes the lore, if they're gonna keep Sgt Drake Alexander as he was thinking in this journal entry, or if they're gonna like change his character. It'll be interesting to see. But as far as right now, as long as anybody doesn't have any more thoughts on this, we can close for this journal entry 24 of Thormun's journals, looking at more of the lore of classic Heroscape.